No problem.
We'll see how this turns out.
Yeah. Sounds good.
I think it's less intimidating than people realize once they know.
Right.
Top 2-3 things somebody needs to know about mortgages.
Yeah. Well, the one thing was, I think you put in there, why is it so important to have a mortgage lender? And so the big thing that I'm kind of driving home is that people don't really understand just, where to start when it comes to lending.
Okay. So where should people start? Like, what are the kind of the key things to be aware of?
Well, I think the biggest thing is when I'm working with somebody, or they just kind of give me a call and say, hey, I've been looking online, on Zillow or Realtor.com or whatever it is. I like what I see. What do I need to do? What are some next steps that I need to take, and that sort of thing.
Gotcha.
And so I really just begin to walk through that with them, as far as, hey, we need to take a look at your finances. We need to talk to them about credit. They went out and established their credit, or have they had a past bankruptcy or foreclosure or something.
If somebody has past bankruptcy, how long are they going to be off the radar for financing?
Typically, when it comes to, there's conventional lending and then there's government lending. Conventional is going to be, which is kind of more of your standard loans. They're going to be a little bit more conservative, so you're going to have to be 4 years out for a conventional loan. But with government, it's not that long. It's only 2 years.
So that's interesting. You can get a government loan quicker than you can get with a bankruptcy in your past.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, it's 3 years from the sheriff's sale date on a foreclosure, and then 2 years from the discharge date.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
On a bankruptcy.
So when it comes to, when you do the pre-approval process, is it basically boiling down to credit score and debt to income ratio? Is that the gist of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. And so debt to income, that's a big one, because if someone has a lot of debt, credit card debt, car loans, I've seen some enormous car loans, and so $700-800, $60,000 owed on the car, and I'm like, well, you're going to be living in your truck,
Yeah, right.
So, but that's the big thing is that.
So how about, is a lease the same as a loan? Treated the same like debt to income? Okay.
It is.
So I'm thinking a lot of those big trucks, a lot of people are leasing them anyhow.
Yeah.
But same difference, I guess, ultimately.
In fact, I've got a borrower right now that had a Mercedes lease, and they paid it off early, but yet we're still having to count it into the debt to income ratio until they actually turn the vehicle in.
No kidding.
So
that's funny.
Yeah.
I guess that's the biz, huh?
Yep.
Okay.
I think one of the biggest misconceptions is out there is that anybody can just go online and punch in their information and kind of pull the lever, and then it spits out, a loan program for them.
Gotcha.
And that's just not the case. And some of the online lenders like Quicken Loans and Loan Depot and Lending Tree and all those that are out there, they're trying to take away the human aspect of the lending industry, and you just can't do that. There's just so many variables.
Gotcha.
As you know, on the real estate side, there's so many variables when it comes to figuring out, and you're just not going to find that by just working with artificial intelligence on the other side.
Yeah.
It's just all they're doing is pulling a credit and saying, hey, this is what your rate is based upon your credit score.
Gotcha. So, what are rates hovering around right now, roughly?
Rates have really been increasing, I would say, over the last 30 days.
Really?
With the market just taking off, and the tax reform bill that came across, it just really...
No kidding. That bump things, huh?
Yeah, so, they're closing in on 4.5%, even some up to 5%. So, it's still not bad historically.
Yeah.
We're all kind of spoiled from the 3% rates that we had this year a few years ago, but...
Yeah, I know, when rates hit 6%, everybody's going to freak out.
Right.
It's historically, in a 20-year window, 6% is pretty doggone low, but still, it seems like a scary number.
Yeah. So. Yeah. People just won't have to probably buy as much house, unfortunately, that they did in the past.
And I feel like people in Fort Wayne aren't, if you're buying, $1 million home in a different marketplace, those rates, a bump in the rates are really going to make a massive change in your monthly payment. But I feel like people in our marketplace, prices are conservative enough that a half point, isn't going to like knock somebody out of home ownership.
Right.
Maybe they have to spend a little bit less money.
Right.
But they're not going to like be buyers versus not buyers. Whereas like, in these other marketplaces with really high numbers, like that could probably change the buyer pool.
Right.
So
right.
I feel like at least that's something we got going for us. So that's encouraging.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of lingo that's thrown out there. Hey, I want to get pre-qualified, or I want to get pre-approved.
What's the difference?
And
so what's the difference between the pre-approval, pre-qualified?
Yeah. So that's definitely a good question. Pre-approval. Well, let me flip-flop it.
Okay.
Pre-qualification is just someone goes, they put an application in, and then we pull their credit, and based upon the information that they put on their application, we can determine whether or not, hey, it looks like it would be a good loan, or that you would be able to get a loan
based on the information that they're just
right. And it's strictly on the honesty and the integrity of the borrower.
Okay.
That the information is correct. So I mean that is typically we do that with somebody that's got a better credit score, maybe high 600s, 700s.
Okay.
That more than likely what they're telling us is accurate and all that. So but if there is like a question, like I'm working with a borrower right now that's got a divorce situation, they've had a bankruptcy, something that's a little bit more sticky, or their credit score might be a little lower, or they just have some questions on income, if they're self-employed or along those. Well, that's when we're going to look at a pre-approval. And pre-approval is actually, we do the same thing that we do on a pre-qualification, but we take the next step. So now we're pulling in all the supporting documentation like bank statements, W-2s, pay stubs.
So that's when you're really
all that.
Bringing in the paperwork.
Right.
So when people are flippantly saying I've been pre-approved, they're probably been pre-qualified.
Yeah, most of the time it's pre-qualified. Most lenders that's what they're going to do.
Okay.
And we have a program called Finance First, where it allows a borrower to get pre-approved without having to go out and put a purchase contract or find a house.
Okay.
So so if there are some questions, then we'll do that. We'll submit it to underwriting. Underwriting will do a full underwritten approval. And so really once it comes back, you're good to go.
Okay. How long do those
find a house?
How long do those pre-approvals usually last?
Typically 90 days.
Okay, so that's a pretty good window of time.
So it gives them a few months to find something. The nice thing too that our company did for us here when we first rolled out this program was that if somebody finds a home and goes under contract within 30 days, we will give them credit for their appraisal at closing.
Okay, say that again.
So if they go out, they go through the Finance First program, they get pre-approved, and they start shopping, and they find a home, they go under contract, so they get a purchase agreement and it's accepted. We'll actually, they'll pay for the appraisal, but we'll reimburse them for it at closing.
Okay.
We'll pay, up to like $800, I think is what they said they would do. So
that's pretty. That should cover an appraisal in a heartbeat.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So that's good to know.
When it comes to interest in purchasing a home, or even if you own a home and you're trying to sell it to buy another one, it is that 9 times out of 10, and I would even say 9.5 times out of 10, the real estate agent such as yourself, you're always going to want that borrower to be pre-approved.
Yeah, for sure, especially in this market where these homes are selling quick.
Right. And I find that still people want to go out and look at houses and they haven't even talked to a lender.
Yeah, isn't that bananas?
Yeah.
Well, and like you said, you can get pre-qualified pretty quick and easy.
Right.
They don't have to necessarily. I think some people think that they don't want to go through all that process when they're not completely committed, or they're just getting the ball rolling.
Right.
But if they're mentally and emotionally to the point where they're out looking at houses, then they're to the point that they need to get pre-qualified at the least.
Right.
So
it's kind of like trying to go to the doctor and trying to get your medication before you've seen the guy. And you don't even know what you've been diagnosed for.
Yeah. The whole prescribing before diagnosis scenario.
Right.
Yeah. That makes sense. Does it? Okay. Trying to. It doesn't, basically it's just a phone call and fill out like probably something they can do.
Yeah, it's real easy. We've made it, with all the technology today, it's made it really easy for somebody to get an application in. So we've got our website that they can apply online, which is it's just timwpowell.com.
Okay.
We've got our GSF app, so we can sends you an app, and they
Okay.
download it on their phone. They apply through their smartphone.
Gotcha. So that's
or-
kind of nice. Some people can do like at night on the couch watching
Right,
TV.
exactly.
Start to just plug in some of those numbers.
Exactly. Or they can do more of the traditional. There's some that still like to do that. They can set an appointment. We can do the application
Okay.
face to face, or we can do it over the phone. So
Gotcha.
we're just really flexible.
Okay, Tim, one of the questions I get from people sometimes is when I talk to them about getting pre-approved, they say, well, I'm not sure if we're going to go down this road for sure or not. We're still kind of in the air. They don't want to get pre-approved or pre-qualified because they don't want any hits on their credit report.
Right.
How do you respond to that scenario?
Right. Well, when it comes to pulling credit, it actually doesn't really affect your score all that much to just have it pulled. If it's just one or two times, usually it's not going to do anything. In fact, when it comes to working with the credit bureaus, they tell us that as long as you stay in a 21-day window and you're shopping within the same category, so like mortgage lending, that
Okay.
it's not going to affect your credit score
Okay.
at all. Now, if you go
Okay.
out and start shopping for like a car loan, credit card, that type of thing, then
Okay.
it will begin.
So that's
to,
a red flag if people are out looking at car
Right.
loans, looking at credit
Right.
cards, looking at houses, looking at...
Right.
They're going to spend
and
some money.
understandably so. If you're out doing all that, then that's going to raise a red flag
Yeah.
against us as a lender too. Like, hey, what
Yeah.
are you doing?
Okay.
So,
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
There's nothing worse than the horror story of going to a closing and somebody just bought a car
Right.
and jacking
Right.
up all their numbers at the last
right,
minute.
right,
Oh.
and that's happened, unfortunately.
Yeah, those stories spread like wildfire. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, great. I think that's all the question I come up with. I appreciate you doing the ride along here.
No.